good, people? Welcome to another edition of Politricked here on the Got What You Need Network. Of course, I'm your host, Sky. Today, we got some follow-up to the Eric Adams story that we covered in the previous podcast. I also want to touch on some misinformation in regards to Western North Carolina, the Asheville area, and the FEMA response, and that even applies to South Carolina and Florida, where I just hate to see tragedy and things like that politicized. But yep, here we are. And then we have another migrant story that isn't the way it's being presented by Donald Trump or former President Trump or Senator JD Vance, who is his running mate. But anyway, man, let's start with Eric Adams. Before we spoke, we were just basically talking about him losing staff members in regards to the investigation. Let's get that out, God. But now he's actually been indicted, and I think it's a 5-charge indictment. The first count is conspiracy to commit wire fraud, solicit foreign contributions, and accept bribes. This is related to accusations that Adams illegally accepted travel gifts through the Turkish government, solicited the illegal foreign contributions into his campaign for Turkish businessmen, and improperly influenced the approval of the Turkish consulate in New York City. The next count is wire fraud. This is related to accusations that Adams fraudulently accepted public matching funds for his contribution by improperly certifying contributions that were made via straw donors, concealing the true sources of the donations. Then we have a 2-count indictment, solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national related to accusations that Adams solicited and received improper campaign contributions through improper campaign contributions. Where am I at? Oh, my bad. He was related to accusations that Adams solicited and received improper campaign contributions. That was the end of it. Thought there was more to it. My bad. All right. Besides the indictment, he's lost more of his administration. The second deputy chief stepped down as well. The school chancellor stepped down. So he still has a staffing issue, but he has even bigger issues tied to that. Some of the things I want to point out is that he locked his phone, and the FBI still hasn't been able to get into his phone. Some of the evidence that's been read out in court shows that he texts other people that were being investigated and told them not to tell the truth to the FBI. There's signs of, like, I guess, post-investigation cover-ups where I guess he was offered like some really, really cheap plane tickets and hotel accommodations, and they kind of tried to get him to like charge a little bit more to not make it look so obvious. There's also an underlying accusation that he stole about $10 million from the city, from the citizens of New York City. And being that a lot of programs aimed toward the needy and the poor were cut, it's a lot of calls for the mayor to step down, and they're coming from both sides of the aisle. Now, there has been some support for the mayor, especially within the black clergy of New York City. But we'll see. My take on it is like hotel rooms, cheap tickets. I just think that's part of the political game. The approval of, I guess, that consulate. I don't think that the building was up to code, and he pressured the FDNY to do it. And I believe that the chief or somebody higher up who was in charge of making the final decision felt really pressured to do it, stating that he didn't want to lose his job. So it doesn't look very good for him. But I just feel like for all the charges, like he was taken for like the cheap. They have other. They pointed out other factors is like he would take flights with like crazy layovers just in order to take advantage of basically being able to fly almost for free with the Turkish Airlines. So it was definitely something that he took advantage of. I don't know. I gotta hear more before I'm ready to ask for him to resign, because I just know how politics are. And if anybody was to open their eyes and pay attention to what Clarence Thomas has been getting all throughout his career, like it makes what Eric Adams did or is accused of, just look like child's play. So $10 million is nothing to sneeze at. So I want to hear more about like how did he personally benefit from like moving $10 million from those programs? Where did he move it to? Did like he get any of it personally? Was it distributed to his cronies? Like I said, I just need to learn a little bit more in regards to $10 million that he allegedly stole from the city before like I keep repeating that. Yes, that's an accusation that's been out there, and it needs to be investigated, and it is being investigated as part of this investigation. So we'll see, but he's facing a lengthy prison sentence if convicted. So right now, the governor, Governor Kathy Hochul, is fall short of asking him to step down. If he does, Jelani McCoy, who is a public advocate, would be the interim mayor until I don't know if it's a special election or do they name interim mayor. The election is next year. The mayor is running for re-election. I'd be very, very surprised if he's able to run for re-election. I think he will step down and resign before then, but we will see. And I'm like, yeah, you could quote me on that. We're being recorded, but I just don't think it's what we're in October now. I think New York. I think like the primaries and all that stuff starts like in March in New York. March 2025, and I just don't think he'll be able to withstand that. And I don't know if they have a court date set, but I believe it'll happen before then. I don't know. I've been surprised before in legal proceedings, but I just think the mayor and his team was very, very sloppy. And that's why it's so many people that have stepped down. I think it's two layers to that. I think some are stepping down because they don't want to get mixed in with it. And I think some are stepping down because I think they either are or planning on cooperating with the investigation to hopefully be spared any, I guess, as harsh a punishment as they would be facing if they didn't. So once again, keep you posted in regards to that. Let's talk about this election coming up. It's always going to be exaggeration, sometimes like mistruths or untruths, whatever, lies, if you just want to go there. But the one thing that really bothers me is when people are affected by an act of Mother Nature and they immediately want to be political about it, and then are only political about it just to be mad at the people that they don't plan on voting for. It's never really a deep dive into why is our infrastructure like this? Why did our city, county, surrounding areas, why is the damage so severe? Why did it take so long, if it took long, for help to arrive and this, that, and the other? But instead, it's just, we've lost everything. Where is Joe Biden? Where is Kamala Harris at? And all this kind of stuff. And as sad as the pictures and the stories that I've seen and heard about are, it's even sadder that people want to channel their emotions to the wrong people. I'm no scientist, and I believe in science, but don't blindly believe in science, let's say, or whatever. But I do know this: the Earth is getting warmer, and if the planet is getting warmer, that would probably mean that the water, the oceans are getting warmer. Hurricanes form over water, and warm water is pretty much like rocket fuel, if you will, to a hurricane. We currently have a hurricane headed that's in the Gulf Coast that's headed towards Florida right now, and it's already a Category 5. We can do with that information as you will, but we do know, and it's Hurricane Milton, I was looking for the name. We can do with that information if you will, but we know who's against climate change and who always makes fun of people that talk about science and this, that, and the other. Further evidence of it being politicized is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said he had gotten calls from Kamala Harris, and he refused to talk to her. It's like, instead of concentrating on helping people and then letting these tragedies be one thing and the election be another thing, we have so many on the right that's playing like this blame game. And I'm like, who do you blame for that? Just a storm having an adverse effect on a certain region of the country. Like places like Asheville and other places in Western North Carolina, or like other rural areas that deal with, maybe tornadoes or what have you. It's devastating. These people felt they were enough inland that, they wouldn't have to deal with, a hurricane or what have you. But once again, science says that the area that was affected in North Carolina was wet and warm. The ground was wet and warm, and it almost formed like a land ocean, and it gave the same effect as if the hurricane was traveling over the Atlantic, and that's why the damage was so devastating. But reports from actual people in Asheville say that FEMA is there on the ground, help is there on the ground, and people are doing everything they can to help at this time. And please don't believe the MAGA Republicans that are trying to politicize this. I just hope that those affected see this and see how their lives is being politicized and vote accordingly. Like, let's just wipe both slates clean and let's just judge from now until the election. And look, the first test in which they could pretty much be like, okay, let's put political differences to a side. There's people in multiple states that have been adversely affected by this storm. So let's do what we can to help these people recover, rebuild, relocate, whatever they have to do to attempt to make their lives whole. But instead it's, look, if, you didn't vote for this or you didn't vote for that, then you wouldn't be going through that. And this the thing. If that happened to be true, then I'd be like, hey, let the chips fall where they may. But actually, it's the anti-science crowd, the anti-infrastructure bill crowd. Those are the people that are making tragedies like this and happenings like this worse on the people that are actually on the ground. We have reports that Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, refuses to call Congress back in session to have a vote on additional FEMA funds because what? It would make the Democrats look good in regards to helping people who need more help recover from a tragedy. Once again, rather score political points instead of actually helping citizens recover and make their lives whole. So those who are listening, just think about the next time it could be you. And do you want somebody worrying about scoring points in regards to your life versus trying to actually get you help that will, once again, you might lose stuff that is irreplaceable or whatever, but you have to move on. And if you have a way to where you can get the funds, get the resources, and get all those things in order to move on, do you really care what political party provided it, quote unquote, or whatever. So we'll see, man. But definitely prayers go out to all of those that have been adversely affected by the previous storm. And my prayers go out to my people, my family, and all of those in the path of Milton, as it looks like it's going to make a direct hit on the city of Tampa. And as of this show, it's a Category 5, the highest Category 4 hurricane. I see people that have lived in the Tampa, St. Pete area all their lives and saying that, hey, they may have evacuated once, but they're really scared and fearful of this upcoming storm. So, like I said, man, those within the sound of my voice, y'all do know, man, that it's the government job, whether they got FEMA trailers on the ground or not, to help their fellow citizens in these types of tragedies. And I haven't seen in any case to where the government or drag their feet in regards to help or whatever, except for like places like Puerto Rico or what have you, which is a U.S. territory. But I've never seen to where Florida didn't get the help it needed. Citizens on the Gulf Coast, North Carolina, South Carolina, or what have you. The governor of South Carolina, who's a Republican, basically said that he had spoke to the president, he had spoke to Transportation Secretary Peter Buttigieg, and everything that he feels like could be done is being done for his citizens of South Carolina. And once again, that comes from a Republican governor, who, has everything to lose by even saying anything to contradict the former President Trump. So let's please just open our eyes and ears to actual facts and stop getting, caught up in, these lies and these innuendo, especially when it comes to people's lives. And speaking of people's lives, the last podcast we talked about, there was a migrant myth in the Denver Aurora area. Well, this time it's Haitian migrants, and this is in Springfield, Ohio. So both former president and his running mate, JD Vance, have been spreading lies about Haitian migrants and immigrants in the city of Springfield, Ohio, and surrounding areas in regards to them capturing and eating household pets. All of these accusations and stories have been debunked and refuted, both by the governor of Ohio and the mayor of the city of Springfield. Yet both of them continue to spread lies, and because of that, there has been a lawsuit. An Ohio court has referred to county prosecutors a criminal case brought by a citizens group against the Republican presidential and vice presidential candidates over their comments about Haitian immigrants, but rejected the group's call to issue an arrest warrant or a misdemeanor summons. Springfield officials said in a statement Saturday that the Clark County Municipal Court found no probable cause to issue warrants or summons on the misdemeanor charges against the former president, running mate, or what have you, but the matter has been referred to the Clark County Prosecutor's Office for further investigation. So the lawsuit is being pushed forward, but once again, here it is that if the MAGA way was the way, they would campaign about what they bring to the table or whatever. But it's always about, look at those people coming to your country, invading your country. We got to get rid of all of them. So when I see so many self-hating minorities caping for that MAGA nonsense, it's a little sad to me, man, because it's like they openly basically say they don't want you. They got the 2025 project. Like they don't, like, you're not part of, what they feel like is this country's future. And yet so many people still that look like me are making videos and all their MAGA, garb or whatever, man. And I just don't understand it. I know what I see. I know what I read. I investigate what I see and I read. And every time I look up, they're making like these charges about like other people and basically categorizing them as like the boogeyman. You know, there was a charge, where there was an accusation in regards to Biden taking FEMA funds and using that to fund like migrant situations or whatever. We find out that no, that's what Trump did when he was president. And since we're talking about migrants and, you know, immigration and, you know, things like that or whatever, we can also talk about the border bill that the former President Trump told his Republican cronies in both the House and, well, not even the Senate, because the Senate wanted to push it through, but his cronies in the House not to even bring it on the floor for a vote. That was so much that even the head of the Border Patrol in Texas spoke out against it and said that he disagreed with the former president. And even though there was things in the former bill, not the former bill, in this potential bill that they didn't like, there were things about it that they did, and they should at least be bringing it up for a vote, have healthy debate, try to get some things removed, try to get some things added, but some help is better than no help. So I don't understand why so many people are on one side, you know, let's say upset, concerned, even scared in regards to migrants in different cities across the country. Because to say that there's an uptick in crime in some areas in regards to migrants, you know, I would be dishonest or what have you. My problem is when we have these stories of them taking over, you know, apartment complexes or committing these crimes that they haven't done. Now, the ones that have been committing crimes, the ones that have been having, you know, a child or a woman and a child knock on the door, and then the door gets bum rushed, you know, with some other people committing robberies and things like that we've heard about in places like Long Island and parts of Queens or whatever. Those things need to be investigated and taken care of. But to hear about migrants who get arrested for violent crimes and then they aren't immediately deported, like, how can you be in this country seeking asylum and then getting arrested for violent crimes and then you fall through the cracks of the legal system? Like, it's just no excuse for that. And we definitely gonna get into like no cash bail and all that kind of stuff, because I just feel like every time the left has a chance to have a positive effect in regards to the legal system, they always take it too far, and some of the wrong people benefit from it. And then it always give those on the right this fake tough on crime thing that they can lean on, just because of those on the left, ACLU, and all those involved that just overlook common sense. So that's about my time, man. But you're probably gonna hear from me one more time before the election. But like I said, man, let's look at real life issues. The government isn't coming to save anyone. There won't be another stimulus or handout or anything like that, no matter who's elected. But I hear one side that basically say either you roll with us or this ain't the country for you. And I just see another side that's saying we need to be working on a country where all citizens feel like they belong. Women have a right to choose what they want to do with their body. And I don't know, man. That just sounds more like the America that like I heard about, like, you know, all my years growing up and all through my adulthood, and what the other side is talking about is something similar to a dictatorship, and I just don't think that's what we want right now. Don't forget to follow and support the other great podcasts on this great network. We talking life and love. We talking with E, the Encourage and Inspire podcast, as well as the Black Male podcast with my guys, Tall Sean and Trey Dot, man, doing incredible things, you know, both from subject matter and bringing in those new subscribers, man. So salute to you guys, man. So proud of y'all, as well as everybody on the team, man. So once again, man, be back in a couple of weeks to chit chat with y'all again. But until then, that's my time. Peace.